Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me and welcome back. So I am doing the Stashbusting challenge and as per my video the other day, I've got some catching up to do. So I'm going to go back to the tasks that were set in February, and one of the things that we were going to do was mass make journal covers. Now before I get in, I'm just going to explain a little bit. This is not with the idea that these are journals we have to make straight away. They're not going to be, unfinished projects or anything like that. What we're making is just a stash of journal covers that we can grab from when we're ready to make our next journal. So the idea being we're already, a couple of steps ahead, and then we can just do the fun part of making the ephemera and putting it all together and all of that. So that's the idea behind it. So I will tell you how I'm going about doing it. So first and foremost, I have gone through my stash and I found a bunch of things that I had set aside to be journal covers. So I've got, bubble mailers, I've got large envelopes, and that's pretty much it. I've also got some fabrics that I think will go with each cover that I want to get used. And then as a bonus, and I don't know if there'll be time, but I always like bonuses, I've also got this pile of stuff, packaging and paper bags and things that I thought were going to be notebook covers one day, including the paper bag. So if there's any fabrics left over or anything, I might be able to, do 2 for 1 and get it all done, on the same day kind of thing. So that is my plan today. So I'm not going to do absolutely all of these on video because that would be a bit much, but I'm just going to get a few done just to give you an idea of how I'm going about doing it. So to remind myself what I was planning. Okay, so I've got a bubble mailer and I've got this. Okay, let's start with this one because it's probably going to be a bit faster. Okay, so this is just, well actually it's what my husband get his 3D printing filaments in, so the plastic that he uses. They come in these, well some of them come in these large bags, and I actually thought I'm going to make something with one of these. Okie dokie. Usually I use large A4 envelopes, which works just fine. Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is because where this is like coloured and everything, I'm actually going to be using a pillowcase for this one. How gorgeous is that pattern on it though? But the pillowcase is a little bit thin. So first and foremost, I need to make sure that I'm covering up the actual packaging. Now, the way that I do it, and we're all different, is I actually use glue stick, which might seem a bit bonkers, but for me it works well. It doesn't seep through the fabric usually. It is just simply to hold it in place until I get everything to the sewing machine. That's how I use it. So first and foremost, I'm just popping this, I think it's like a calico type fabric. I'm running that along just simply to act as a base. That will then cover up the, the coloured packaging and the labels and everything like that. And the reason the glue stick works well, at least for me, is because I sew my journal covers anyway. So. The glue just sort of keeps it in place until I'm ready to do things later, That's how I go about it. Oh, look at that. Perfect fit, uses it all up. Now, like I said, this is a craft along. It's we all make journal covers differently, but this is just how I go about making them sometimes. Sometimes I change my mind and do things differently, but generally speaking, this is how I go about doing it. And I like to keep things easy. And I like to get things used up, and I like to give packaging a purpose and all of that. So, this is why I do covers this way. I find that it, works really well for me. Now I'm not worried about the join down the middle because, as I said, this is just the base fabric, just to give me just a little bit of hiding the packaging look to it. And when I come to sort it out properly, all of that will be chopped down, and of course, you know, this part I'd probably have some, you know, crochet down the spine. So yeah, just keeping it really, really easy today. So I'm just going to go about showing you my process, and then hopefully this will give you some ideas. So this is an entire pillowcase which I want for the cover. Now I've never actually used a pillowcase for a journal cover, so I'm hoping, I'll just pop that out of the way, I'm hoping that it will work just the same way as a bit of fabric, but you know, your guess is as good as mine. Let's find out. So I'm just gonna use my muscles and try and open up the pillowcase. I got this used on eBay, but I have washed it. It's nicely washed and all of that, but it's just such a nice colour, and I think it cost me, I don't know, like £2, if that. I've had it in my stash all this time because I haven't actually sat down to just sort of do this part of the journal making process, I suppose. Right. Oh, the things we do for our passions, isn't it? I've got threads all over me. There we go. Okay, right, I think I've got a bit of fabric now that I can actually work with. Probably should have prepped some things in advance, but you know what? I prepped as much as I could, and then I just thought I'm just going to get on with the video because, oh, I was just dying to jump in. As you know from my video the other day, this is the first bit of crafting I've done in like 2 months. So I'm absolutely desperate to just jump in and just start going for it. Right, so first and foremost, I want as much of those flowers on the front cover as I can, and it does this really nice border thing. It's very large, so you probably can't see it all, and I think I've actually knocked the camera at some point. Sorry if I did. Okay, and now my phone holder is falling on me, so sorry, I'll try and cut that out of the video. Ah, welcome back, Justine. Right, so what I was trying to say is there's this nice border down the edge here, which I want to try and use. So I'm just going to do this one side first. Yeah, as I say, it's been a while, so I just have to get back into the swing of things really, but you know, I was just so desperate to come on and speak and say hi and actually start doing something, having some fun, that, you know, I didn't want to do this step without you, and it might give you some ideas, it might not, it might just give you a laugh at my perils of, I don't know, phone holders falling on me and all the rest of it. Okay, right, so because I've got that pattern there, I just want to keep an eye on it so I know it's in the right place. Yes. And the great thing about the glue stick as well is if you're like me and you don't like ironing, I can't stand ironing, the glue stick just allows you the freedom just to smooth creases out. Now it's not perfect, ironing would be best, but if you just want to get into it, if you just start smoothing it out into that glue, before you know it, you have a nice flat cover and no one would ever know that you haven't ironed anything. Okay, and it's nice, the pattern goes over to my back cover which ends here, so yeah, it's going to be a really nice cover. Finally getting this pillowcase used. Did I tell you it cost me like, yeah, but I think it was about £2 from eBay. Just a pillowcase. I don't know why somebody had a single pillowcase, but you know, it was really pretty, so I was like, well, I'm having that. And yeah, I fancy some like florals and botanicals this year, and I don't know if I did any last year. I did the year before. I did you know, Edith Holden type projects. I think last year I was so focused on some of my fairy journals that I actually skipped sort of these sorts of spring spring greens and florals and things. So I'm excited to give some of those a go this year. And the sun is shining today. Spring is hopefully on its way, even though we had snow last week, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, spring is on the way, so there we go. Right, so now all it's a case of doing is I want to cut this down a little bit because we're a bit big. So you probably can't see this, but I'm cutting roughly an inch or so away from my cover, so that the packaging itself, because the way that I do fabric covers is I fold over the edge like that and then sew down there, only because I don't trust that the fabric won't fray away to nothing with years of use. I don't know really. I haven't been doing this craft for long enough, so this is the way that I do it, but some people like the frayed edge. So if you do, then you don't have to worry about folding it over. And the best bit, you don't even have to use fabric for your journal covers. I just have lots of, you know, fabric, and I like the soft feel to it. So for me it works really well. I'm just jabbering on. I'm just blathering. Okie dokie. Like I said, I won't do all of these because I've got a stack of about 5 covers I'm going to make today in this mass make sort of style. So yeah, you don't need to see me do them all. But I thought I'll show you one, get a bunch done, and then we can move forward from there really. Okay, so I'm going to start in the corners. I'm just going to dab my Pritt stick, or glue stick rather. And then I'm just going to bring that fabric in like so, and then I'm going to do this bottom corner, exact same thing. And like I said, if you don't sew your covers and you want to use fabric, then you're best using a stronger glue. I don't like using Fabri-Tac for projects like this because I find that it seeps through fabrics, especially thin ones, unless you're like really careful about it. With the glue stick, sorry, it just is like tacking. It just holds things in place until I get a chance to take it to my sewing machine, which I'll be doing, you know, the same day kind of thing. So for me it works. And then just going to run some glue down here. Whoopsie dips. And then I'm just gonna, I don't know if I've got too much on that, because obviously, well, I'm going to cover the inside with scrapbooking paper anyway, so I think it'll be fine. I just want to keep things really easy, you know. And I've been doing this long enough now that I know that if things are a little bit hinky when you first start, you can cover things up, you can get better with things, you can, you know, cover things. But yeah, I'm going to be lining the inside with paper and cardstock anyway, so there we go. And last but not least, and I just put my hands in the glue, of course I have. There we go. Easiest way to make a fabric journal cover that I can possibly think of. Well, other than not folding it over at all and just, you know, letting it fray a bit. But yeah. So just some thoughts about, you know, if you're going to do the same as what I'm doing today of mass making your covers, is just have a little think about what colours or projects you might want to work with this year, what themes you might want to do. In my case, I often end up doing the same sorts of themes pretty much all the time. You know, I've got botanicals, I've got woodlands, I've got like forest. You know, over the years, I've tried all manner of different things, and it's only really been in the last year or so that I've really understood what I like doing over and over again. And yeah, often it's yeah, nature and botanicals. That's what I like. That is my jam. Okay, so this is going to be one big journal. I could have cut the packaging down, but I wanted to use as much of the pillowcase as I could. So let's just have a little look-see. Obviously it's not finished. This is just the first step. So we have a nice pattern on the front. Now for this one, I was thinking, because I don't want to cover up too much of the background, I was going to grab, do I have one? There we go. I didn't know if this just needs something simple like a book plate. Probably is all it needs really. So that's that, and on the back, nice. So we'll have obviously a closure that goes through the middle anyway, and then we've still got some pattern on the back. And so as I say, on the inside, the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to line the inside with cardstock, and that will cover all of this hinkiness inside. It will cover obviously the packaging, so that will be the next step. But do you see there how the corners, they're not perfect, but they're good enough for me. And if anything is a little bit too hinky, then that's when we can use, you know, book corners and things to completely cover that up anyway. That's how I go about doing it, and hopefully that's useful to know. Yeah, pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest done in the exact same way. As I said, I've got, you know, bubble mailers, I've got large A4 envelopes, I've got another one of those packaging things. And when I come back, we will do the next step, which will be to line it with cardstock, and then will be the job for sewing. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so next steps. I have gone through and done a bunch of journal covers. So just show you. I've got a whole bunch actually, more than I was expecting to get done, but that's fine. So I've got two smaller ones with this cover on, and I've just done some simple book plates, and I've just lined them both with scrapbooking paper and just some lace down the middle. You can see the brown there, that's actually the brown tape, which is a protection for the cover, but I actually don't mind that showing through because these will have sort of a garden-y type theme to them. So I've got a couple of those. I went through my, you know, that pile of like little notebook stuff I had, like chocolate wrappers and things like that. So I've got a couple more ready to go. This one I've done a book plate. This one I'm just going to glue a label there, like a word or a date or something. So I've got those. Still going. I've got a couple of bubble mailer ones in the gold, purple and gold. Now these two I haven't gone ahead and lined the middles because I have no idea what I'm going to do as decoration on the cover. So these really are just a supply to grab from when I'm ready. I'm thinking sort of something boho-esque with the purples on there, maybe. But as I said, I didn't really have a plan for those. So they're just going to go into my folder as is. I'm not going to sew them yet. And then this one was a chocolate box wrapper, which I had a little bit of that left over. So I've brought that around. Added some book page and a bit of lace because I didn't have enough to cover up the black packaging. In the middle here, I'm just going to make a pocket, like two pockets, front and back, using some, again, scrap card. So that's just going to be a little notebook, so that's a plus. And then, yeah, just coming back to this one, I thought I would finish off on screen with you. So I have cut some scrapbooking paper. I'm just trying to keep these really simple, to be honest, so that's what I'm going for today. But I need to, my scrapbooking paper was not big enough, as you might have guessed. So I'm going to have to run some tape along here, which I'm hoping will be fine. And then I'm just going to use some of that lace again. I didn't realise how big these covers were when I made them, or how like wide they were and stuff. So I'm thinking this should be just fine. As I said, I'm just trying to keep things really simple today. So I'm actually going to have to run some more tape. But you know, this is the great thing about this sort of process, is it can be as simple or as complex as you like. I've gone for simple just to get me back into the swing of things. And you know, everything doesn't have to be a masterpiece, and I always keep telling myself that, because you know, you can get stuck into that sort of way of thinking where, you know, if the paper doesn't fit, have you ruined your project, or you know, what have you. And it's not. This is the great thing about this craft, is there's so much flexibility for us to just, you know, get on with it and just to do our thing and turn it into something bit by bit. And the best thing about this sort of process of doing it the way that we're doing it today is you've done sort of the boring bit all at once. So yeah, I mean, let's be honest, it hasn't been the most exhilarating of videos or crafting sessions today. But, you know, now we've got the boring bit out of the way, when we come to turn these into journals, we can just focus on the fun bit. You know, we can just get on with it then. Right, now I'm hoping that should be enough now. Yeah, it's enough on that side. And it's enough on that side, so that's good. But I don't think this is going to be wide enough. I mean, that looks kind of nice, doesn't it, really? I was trying to hide the packaging look of this one. I actually kind of like that. I don't know, will it be weird? You know, I think I'm actually going to go with that. I like that you can see the brown, and weirdly, even though this is packaging, this is like writing on the bag, it's slightly green through the crochet and the tape, and I'm liking that it's bringing in the green and brown from the paper. So I'm going to go with it. I'm going to keep things really simple today and just go for it. So first things first, we want to get the book plate on. So I'm probably going to have lace along the spine, so I'm just sort of positioning it so that it's central if there was crochet along the spine or lace or something, because I think that will add a bit of interest to that side where it's a little bit plain there. I think by adding something like that will help. So I'm just going to have to stand up because it's easier for me to see that I've got this straight. So when you're doing your mass making of covers, if you decide to give this a go, do bear in mind little things like how you're going to decorate your covers and how you're going to do closures. Now in my case, again, I'm keeping things simple, so I'm just going to do eyelets. Once I've done the sewing, I'm going to put eyelets in my covers and then just tie some ribbon through them all. That will be my closure. And because I really like this fabric, I didn't want to cover it up, so I'm doing the book plates. But do you remember how I said about the purple ones where I'm not sure what I want for the cover yet? So I'm not doing the insides until I know. And the reason for that is because if I want to add a book plate, if I end up lining the inside, it will be too late for me, and then I'll have brad legs that I need to cover up, which I have done in the past. I have steamrolled ahead with a journal cover before realising that I wanted to add a book plate or something, and you know, I've ended up having to cover up brad legs. But the great thing is that it is not a problem if you think about things later. So there are ways to cover them up. You could have, you know, a belly band or a pocket or something. There are lots of things that you can do to, you know, fix problems later kind of thing. So I guess that's just your reminder that, you know, just to go for it sometimes and then things can always be rejigged and figured out later on. Sorry. Oh, I'm really struggling. Lack of nails to get those open. There we go. So I'm just going to squeeze them down. And I'm going to put this lid on before I knock all of them flying, because that is potential for me to do that. I am the world's clumsiest crafter after all. Right, I'm feeling that's a little bit wonky, so I'm just going to twiddle that back where it needs to be. Okay, and then just putting some tape on the back there just to, well, extra protection for the bread legs, but also so that they don't pierce through my paper. And then it's just a case of us gluing this on. And then when we come to make this journal, because obviously I'm, you know, making it in advance kind of thing, I can add, you know, book plates and stuff if I feel like the cover, you know, isn't as neat as it can be. But you know, I just want to stress, I suppose, journal covers don't have to be this complicated beast all of the time. It can be, you know, at the end of the day, it can be as simple or as complex as you like. It's completely up to you. I am the type of person that prefers simple, only because I find simple means, for me, I get less stressed if something doesn't work out the way I expect it to. I feel like if you're keeping things relatively simple, and I know I'm probably quite loud because I'm standing up, yeah, keeping it simple just means you haven't really lost anything if it doesn't work out. Like, you haven't lost as much time or as much supplies kind of thing. But also for me is I prefer just being in that frame of mind where I just can just stumble on through mindlessly, relatively mindlessly, compared with, you know, if I was doing something really complicated, I'd have to be thinking really super hard about it. So yeah, for those of you who watch my channel a lot, you know I like things simple, but for anyone who might be new, if you like simple, that's generally what I prefer as well. So that's that. I'm getting glue all over myself. And then obviously I'm going to sew around all of these covers, but I'm not going to be able to sew the middle, so I'm just coming in with some extra glue just to get those edges down. The other edges will get sewn down by my machine. And then we just need to add the lace, and like I say, I'm going to sew around everything. I'll do that as a batching task as well. Just get all of the sewing done, you know, one evening this week. I'm not going to do it, you know, right this second, but you know, an evening that I've got free, I'll do it this week. That hasn't glued at all. And then, you know, these will just go into a box, ready to be picked up when I'm ready to work on a floral garden botanical journal, you know, or a boho purple journal. So I have tried to think about projects that I want to do within the next year or so. Gosh, it sounds like such a long time when you think of it like that, but it's just because, you know, I'm a little bit slow when it comes to crafting. So, you know, when I make journals, I do feel like I'm a little bit slow. You know, when I start working on something, I don't like to just do that endlessly, always and always. I do like to sort of put things down, pick them up, go back to other stuff, and it's just because I like variety. Is the simple truth. And that's just gonna sit in that groove there. And then part of that will get sewn down by the sewing machine, and then anything that's sticking up when I've done that, I'll just run in with some extra glue. So that will probably be the end of the video. I'm hoping that it's given you some ideas about how I was going about mass making my journal covers. As I said, I've tried to keep them quite simple today. So the next steps, as I say, is I'm going to sew around all of these, you know, in an evening. And then all they need, well, other than filling, is a closure. So what you could do, here's some ideas. With mine, I'm just going to have an eyelet closure and tie with a bow at the side. I don't want anything more complicated than that. But what you could do is you could thread some ribbon underneath the lining so that it, you know, you can then tie it like that. You don't have to have eyelets. You could just close the whole thing with a bow around it right now. You know, you could use an elastic tie or something. But I suppose it's sometimes you need to think ahead about what you're doing. But that was how I was going about it. So I hope you've gotten something out of today, even if it's just, well, to look at this pretty pillowcase that is now several journals. So I've got 3 sort of decent sizes, and then I've got this little baby notebook. So obviously these are not going to fit massive amounts of pages in. They're likely to be one signature journals, and I wanted them to be different sizes. I wanted to go by what the packaging was telling me, just to make things interesting. But I'm only probably going to fit in a signature. So I imagine that I will try to, well, this one will be a journal in itself. These two, I imagine that I'll probably try to work it into some kind of folio in the future, and then it become like this removable notebook or something. Because as I say, I'm probably only going to fit, you know, 10 or 15 sheets of paper in them. This is just going to be a little notebook to pull out of something, same as that one, and same as that one. And then, yeah, these two will be standalone journals once I know what I'm doing. So they will go into stash just as is, but at least I've used the fabric. I've gotten through some of my packaging, so I'm happy today. And I finally got back to doing a video, so I'm pleased about that as well. So I hope that you've enjoyed hanging out with me today. Sorry if the video was a bit, you know, fast in some places, but I just wanted to show you how I was going about doing the stash busting challenge for February. So this is what I had planned to show you. When I'll come back and do a signatures video, but it's not going to be anything particularly interesting, so just pre-warning. But basically it's just going to be a case of us putting together some papers into a signature that again we can just pull from when we're ready to make a journal. And for me, it just allows me to get some of these things on its way to being something, so that I know that I've done sort of the boring-ish part now. So, you know, when I decide that I want to work with these types of colours, I can just pull this out, grab my ready-made signatures, maybe put in some extra things, and then I can just get on with making the ephemera and the embellishments and just sort of, you know, going from there. That was sort of my intention for it, really. So yeah, I'll stop my waffling. So I'll have a video out soon to show you how I'm going to go about getting the signatures done. And I'll also have a video out soon where I'm going to do the first step towards March's stash busting as well, where we're working through book pages this week. So I think we're working on tags first, so I'll have a video out for you soon for that as well. And yeah, as per my video the other day, just bear with me as I get back into things. It has been a while for me. It's been about 2 months, 2.5 months since I've actually done any crafting. And also it's been a while since I've been here on video, so it will take me a little bit of time, but I'm sure it will come back to me here or there and everywhere. So thank you all so much for joining me. Good luck with mass making your journal covers if you are catching up like I am. If not, then I hope you'll join me for busting through some book pages. Thanks so much then everyone, we'll speak soon. Bye bye for now.